everyone, and welcome back to Survive This Crit. Today, we have the absolute pleasure of talking to classically trained actor, educator, cinephile, professional background actor on Angel Studios' The Chosen, and one of my dearest friends, Haley Klopping. Welcome, Haley.
Hello. Hi. How are you, Kylie?
I'm just chilling. As you can see, I'm embracing spooky season in fullness. I can't quite do what we used to do in our shared apartment, but
Yeah,
as
yeah.
good as I've got.
Well, no, I feel like I see a lot of similar decorations that we had in our four bedroom apartment in college, but I know I'm really digging the earrings. Sorry, I don't have anything festive
No, you're
on.
good. When this comes out, it'll be like almost Thanksgiving. So people are going to be like, why is she still dressed all spooky?
Well, no, I feel like we have a lot of people out there who are in the mixture of like Halloween and Christmas. So I feel like you have like half of it going for you right now, which I
That's
feel
true.
is good.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So, we're going to dive into some warm up questions about like spooky season and a couple other things. And then we're going to kind of talk about your acting career and the new steps that you're taking now in education.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Would love that very much so.
All right. So, the first question, what was the first horror movie that you remember seeing?
So growing up, my parents never really like let me watch any horror movies. That was very much like taboo. I think the scariest thing that we would ever watch would be like Harry Potter. And even like the fourth Harry Potter movie, I was like, okay, this is too much. I can't watch this. But I would say for myself, probably The Shining, honestly. I think that was the first movie that my dad had like told me about, and he was like, this is a classic, like you got to see this. And I was like, okay, dad. And then I think I actually watched it in high school. That was the first time I ever watched it, and it like blew my mind. And obviously it's like really dark, it's a lot, but the plot itself, I always like really appreciated that it wasn't just like a like clickbaity like Hollywood style of horror, but it actually was like a genuine scary story of a man slowly going insane. So that was the first horror movie I'd ever watched, and I thought it was brilliant.
I
So,
love The Shining. That's one of the posters I have back here.
oh,
So,
do you? Where is it? Is
yeah,
it?
it's the one right next to Captain Jack Sparrow. It's the typewriter. And it says all
Oh yeah.
yeah, and it has the maze instead of all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. It's yeah,
Okay, I was gonna ask you what the quote was because I forgot what it was, but that's the thing that he has like over and over and
all
over
work, yeah,
again.
all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Maybe
Oh,
we'll have to do The Shining on here soon. So
you
that'd be
should.
cool. It's a
You totally
classic.
should. Yes, it is. And also the fact that like there's just so many like movie facts within that movie too. If like there's so many like different trivia things that you can find in there too.
Oh
So that's
yeah, there's a lot of wild angles that you can explore while researching that movie. For other horror films, what is like the least favorite horror movie you've seen and why?
oh, there was one that we watched in college that I remember just thinking it was like so cringe. It was like freshman year of college. We were in the lobby and it was like the list that Kyra had made of all like the horror movies that she had like it was either like she had never seen or she was like really interested in seeing, and like Duke kind of helped her out with that. But I think the one that we started watching, oh wait, does it have to be one that I finished or can it?
No, it can be one that you didn't finish if it was that bad. That's totally
Okay,
fine.
perfect. It was like a movie called It Follows.
I vaguely remember that now. Yeah, because I think I was there with you guys and I don't think we finished it. I have no recollection of watching it. I must have blocked it out of my brain, but I remember talking about it.
Yeah, no, I don't think we finished it because, like, as a whole, I don't think we finished it because it's like, it's the movie that's got like the poster of like, it's like these two teenagers in a car and they're like kissing, and it's like, okay, interesting. But also, when you like dive into the movie, it was like something about like two characters, like they go down this dark path of like they're in a car and then they are being like passionate with each other, but then something like happens. There's like I truly don't even remember it, but I just remember it was like a classic teenage story where it was like about being passionate and then all of a sudden there were scary things that were happening and it like didn't add up at all and it just seemed like it was just wanting to show a lot of passion. So it was just weird and I didn't understand why it was considered a horror movie and it was just all of these like model looking people and there was just like no depth in it whatsoever. So that's what
That's
I
totally
recall.
valid. And I remember less of it. So I believe what you say about it because I don't remember it at all. I don't know if I wasn't there or if I've just blocked it out. But that kind of leads me to what's your least favorite trope? Because, horror movies are a lot of tropes and gimmicks, which make them enjoyable for people who like consistency.
Yeah.
But what's your least favorite one? Because there are some out there that are just wild.
Could you give me an example of
Yeah.
one?
So, for example, like kind of what you said with It Follows, like the teens getting all steamy in the car and then something comes out to kill them, or like saying,
Mm.
I'll be right back, and you never come back.
No, and yeah, they are gone. I actually think they make a joke about that in Scream. They like, isn't that a
Yeah.
scene where they do like, "I'll be right back," and he like leaves. I would say, I feel like the supporting like best friend character being the one who like gets killed off first, that
Oh,
always like drives me crazy. Like the very like supportive, like kind of therapist listener friend who is just there and the main characters are like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so scared of what's happening." And then they're like, "Oh no, it's okay. Like we're gonna be fine." Like and they have all of the strategy, they have all of the logic, and then they're the ones who get killed off first. Cause it's like there's no you actually never get to see that character develop. It's just there's the supportive shtick, the friend that the main character like confides in, and then like you never get to see them again. So I feel like that, and then also the classic like phone call situation where the killer calls in, because it's like that first happened with Scream. Like that was the
yeah.
whole thing. They did like a whole like 15-minute scene at the beginning of that movie and it was so brilliant. But now I feel like that I always see that happen all the time for
Yeah.
suspense. But I want something like different, not something through a phone, but a different way of a character coming in and destroying. So
Maybe through a Zoom call, it is 2023 after all.
yeah, it could be a Zoom call and maybe it's just like, yeah, a dark image or it's like maybe them in the closet and they can like pop out. But yeah, no, just something new with that I think would be fun.
Well, when you mentioned the supportive friend trope, my
Mhm.
first reaction was, oh, like you. If we were in a horror movie,
Oh,
you would be killed. Like if it was a horror movie where the killer was coming after me, you'd be the one killed off because you're the one that provides like the insight and the like wisdom and love. And then so that was where my brain went. I was like, does she not like it? Because it would refer to her in a lot of areas of her life.
well, I remember like in college we made like a zombie apocalypse
I think I
like
still
list
have
that
it.
we did. You, oh my gosh, you do. That's great.
Let
But
me
it
let
was
me see if
like
I
me,
do.
it was me and someone else, but we were gonna get we were gonna get killed off because we had like all of the resources, all of like the doomsday prep stuff all figured out, and we had like a map or something like ready to go with where we needed to. But because we
Yeah.
were being too emotionally supporting the whole zombie apocalypse group, that's why we like got kidnapped by the zombies was because we were too busy talking to our dear friends. So it was like me and some other person, but I
Yeah, I don't have that list anymore. I have Star Wars actually. You were put down as Chewbacca and I was put down as Darth Vader. So
was that freshman year. I don't remember that.
that was back in 2018.
Oh my
So
gosh,
apparently, but yes, I do remember we made a really big zombie apocalypse like prediction
we
and
did.
you died I think because you were trying to help people. you
Yeah.
and somebody else. And then I think I lived. I don't remember. I may have
Yeah.
died. The only reason I lived though is because I got very violent, if I remember correctly.
Well, yeah, the first impression I feel like was like you were very feisty, and we knew that, okay, yeah, no, Kylie's gonna survive this. Like, out of all people here, Kylie's gonna be the one to survive. And I was
It
like,
was me
well,
and like two other people.
I'll
It
be
was
emotional.
very randomized selection toward the end there. Two of us like survived or three. But
Yeah, well, it was you and another person. You had like made a pact to like, yeah, stick it out to the end. And it was like,
yeah.
you know what? I'm okay with dying if it's like something where I know I am helping people, but
Hmm.
also like I kind of want to follow Kylie's lead and be the leeway for being feisty, but I know I can't do that. I just can't. I can't be that.
Yes, you can. I believe. But
I
this
had
actually
different
leads
parts of
into
life.
my next question, though. Are you a fight, flight, or freeze? Whether it's a zombie apocalypse or confrontation?
I'm definitely freeze. I would say, yeah, no, with confrontation for sure, my brain will go into freeze mode. But also, I feel like if I saw a zombie right in front of my face, I wouldn't simply know what to do. I don't even feel like I could run away. It would be like making eye contact with the zombie and then simply freaking out and not knowing what to do. So yeah, I would most definitely freeze. How about you? You probably would fight, right?
Probably a 50-50 chance I would fight or flee.
Okay. Do you think you could, well, obviously you could outrun a zombie, but do you think you would just not stop, or do you think you would like use some strategy
I,
to make sure you're far away enough?
I think eventually I would use some strategy to potentially then fight back if I got far enough away.
Mm-hmm.
But my initial reaction would be, I'm going to get the out of here.
Yeah.
So if this were in relation to the sixth sense, if you were able to see dead people, what would be your initial reaction? And then what would be your like long-term purpose with that gift?
Oh, that's a great question, Kylie. Man, I feel like something that I've recently discovered about myself is when I have like a major change happen in my life, or it's just a situation that I like really have to handle and it's like on the clock. So I really try to work things out in my head so intensely that it like starts to affect me like physically and mentally. And so it just kind of gets stirred up into my head. And I think with having the realization that I am seeing dead people, I would just like really have it intense in my head, not know what to do with it, not tell anyone, just in a way like freeze and just handle it, still look around and see all of these people. But like I would be most definitely like freaking out. But in terms of what to do about it, like long term, what I would want to do, I honestly would kind of like want it to be like a counseling session where I could like set up a little
Oh,
shop. I could set up a shop and be like, "Hey, so like what did you think about your life? Like what are some things that were like highlights for you or like blessings that you loved, and then if you could go back in time, what would you change?" Like just to have like a Q&A with all of the lives that I would see. I feel
oh,
like that would be so like fascinating, and also to have them have like a place that they could like vent to. Like if they're just walking around like dead people, they're going to be thinking through a lot. So yeah, no, I feel like that would just be so much fun, and also just a trip as someone who is alive to be able to hear from people who have like passed on. So I would
yeah.
say, yeah, that would
So
be my
you would
dream.
be a ghost psychologist, just like Casper's, like
Basically.
the dad in Casper, the one with Christina Ricci in it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Psychologist.
And I could like hold off, like, okay, if any other dead people want to come in, like this is a promo, like put out some flyers, put out like some signatures with my face on it. And it's got like a little biography. Like I feel like that would be a very fun business to have. So with a gift like that, I must use it. So
I
that's
love that. You would actually be really good at that just based on what I know about your personality. You'd be really good at that. More than most people. So, as we're going to transition to talking about your artistic career, you were actually the person who introduced this film to me. So, do
Yeah,
you
I
want to
did.
share that story with our audiences?
Oh, yes, I do. So I had the DVD for Sixth Sense. I had watched it like a long time ago with my dad, actually, and it's, incredible movie, and I knew that I wanted to own it. So I got the DVD and I brought it with me to college. Now, when we had moved, you and I, into like the four-bedroom apartment sophomore year, it was like, okay, we all had our little like DVDs that we had like right next to the TV. And it was like during the Halloween time that I think it was either you or me, we were just going through it trying to look for something to watch, and we found The Sixth Sense. And I think you were like, oh, I don't think I've ever seen this movie. And I was like, all right, stop the presses. We need to watch it right now. And when we did, we like, do you remember we like turned off all the lights? We like had
Yes,
it
I
pitch
remember.
black. We had it pitch black in the apartment, and we started watching it. And it was just more so like at the beginning, you were like, oh my gosh, the acting's like really good in this. Like this is not so bad. And I was like, oh man, she doesn't even know what's coming. Oh man, that's gonna be fun. And by the time that it got to the point the moment that we find out in the movie that like the character of Bruce was is like dead the whole time, you were like already laying down in the couch, and I was just like sitting there knowing exactly the moment when the audience finds out that he is dead. I like looked over and you were like crawled into the couch like this, and your eyes just got like super wide, and you kind of just slowly like went down like this, and you turn and you started having like tears in your eyes. Like it was like either a mixture of shock or like utter distress, but you were so emotional. I was like, oh no, what have I done to this poor girl? And then like slowly, as obviously the ending of the movie is just so like it's so good, but it's also
Sad.
it's so sad and it's so emotional that like by the end you were in tears. Like it was a whole thing. And I was like, I don't know whether to feel like bad or if this is like a moment where it's an appreciation of art. I think it's a combination of both. But yeah, no, I just remember it was like slow, gradual thing of that shock value, which it's intense, and then at the end of it just being such a sad ending, you just like
Well, I also remember there were a lot of jump scares, like especially for a
yeah.
first time viewer, and I didn't expect that. So I was jumping a lot too, in addition to sobbing by the end. And you've seen me cry. You're one of those few people that have seen me cry a good
Yeah.
bit. And like that one was just, I felt like, oh my gosh, like my chest was hurting because of how hard I was crying. But you know what? It was worth it. I'm going to do some background actor questions because I know you're short on time, but how did you get started in the industry as an actor and what's been your path? I know we got limited time, so we're going to like zoom through these. And we'll
Yeah,
have
no.
you back so that way we can have longer Q&As.
Yes, no, I will be back. I'm gonna be pounding down your door. Truthfully, starting off with acting, it was like in middle school, I really wanted the role of Peppermint Patty in like the Charlie Brown play, and I got it, and it just kind of skyrocketed from there. I had studied acting at Oklahoma City University, which is where I met you. Quite a blessing. And I then when I graduated, I did a couple of short films, and I got to do some Shakespeare plays. And then I had studied at Bada Midsummer in Oxford in the UK, and that was really heavy with the classic training that I got, learning all about Shakespeare, a lot of Meisner work as well. And we also worked on some clowning and getting to really work on like physical acting, which was really fun. But I would say my ballpark in terms of like acting career has been very Shakespeare heavy. That was like my first love when I dove into college, and it was I think that was just so much fun to do. So yeah.
I love Shakespeare too. Oh, he's a good man. So how did you get involved in background acting then? Because you were on The Chosen, which is a huge show now. It's really blown up since Angel Studios has really put it out there, put it on Netflix, put it on CW. So what was it like? Like, how did you get on and what was your experience being a background actor for such a big show?
Yeah, I had auditioned for an agency in Dallas, and at the time they didn't accept me, but the the other message that I got was, "Hey, we'll keep you on our subscriptions list, but we'll basically just you won't be accepted this term, but we'll keep you on the emailing list." So I was just scrolling through a bunch of emails that I'd gotten from the agency, and I saw that The Chosen, they were looking for some background actors. And obviously, I was like a huge fan of the show. And I was trying to see, okay, do I even have time in my schedule to send out some information saying that I'm interested? And ultimately, I was like, okay, I'm just going to send in my headshot and resume and see if they'll, pick me up for being a background actor. And it was basically like the title was like to be a citizen and getting to do it for like consecutive days during the summer. And so it was like a month later, they finally got back to me and they were like, yeah, here are the days that you're working. We need your costume sizes and you're good to go. So I went on the set and it was just like honestly like a dream come true. It was so cool to see all of the background work that they were doing of the set, the camera work, the camera crew. That part is always just so it's like a masterclass. And then getting to see the actors in person and then the directors, and then getting to meet all of the actors and getting to be in costume and makeup and all that stuff. It was so much fun. And they have a really, really great team behind them. So
That is just amazing. And as lovers of film, getting to be background on a film is, like you said, it's a masterclass, but it's also an opportunity to like geek out a bit.
mhm.
So,
Yeah.
with that, are you going to be pursuing more background acting? Like, where's your path taken you since then?
Yeah, I think so. I think when I've got a little bit more free time, I would love to be able to do it again. I know every summer they are always in Texas and they're always looking for background actors. So I would, yeah, no, I would love to do it again. And then just in general, there's a lot of like emailing sites that I love to look around and see if there's any opportunities anymore in the Dallas area. But right now, I think because of a busy schedule with teaching right now, I'm more so focusing on that, and then I'll be diving more into film later on. So,
That's awesome. And what age group do you teach? Like, how do you keep those healthy boundaries? Like you said, you're not overbooking yourself. How do you keep those healthy boundaries both in the classroom and your artistic career? Because it gets really easy to say yes to everything and then not be able to feel like you can put your best into all of it.
mm, yeah, I think I'm still figuring that out. So I teach fourth grade, and they
Oh,
are just they are the cutest little things. I think it's been a lot to adjust to in terms of being able to figure out specifically that age range and what do fourth graders need at this time? What have they already learned? What do they need to learn? How do you like have a specific way of like communicating? And who is this each person? I'm getting to know each individual for who they are. So balancing that, I think right now I'm truly focusing on building like those relationships. And then more so when that's solid, I really want to dive back more into like reflecting on myself of like, okay, what I'm doing right now, how can I incorporate that into my life creatively again, of really getting to see each person for who they are and then getting to see myself for who I am and what I can go out and like contribute into the world and where God's calling me. And yeah, I think it's a whole journey right now. And right now I'm in a very specific part of my life. But it's no, it's been really great. And I think it's all gonna like come together, especially with school, figuring out that and doing it. So Yeah.
That's so exciting too. And I liked what you said about the relationships being the core of what you're doing, whether it's in your work artistically or in your work outside of the artistic path, like forming those relationships and having even an introspective relationship with yourself is really important. And I
Mm.
think that's something that a lot of people lose as they get on the rat race and they're just running toward whatever goal they're pursuing. So good.
I just wanted to add one more thing is that I think it's like it's such a hurry. Like I think we live in such a culture where we're always hurrying, we're always moving on to the next thing. And then when we are hurrying, it's like, well, mentally we're worrying about what the next thing is. It's like we're never able to actually stop and breathe. And so being able to kind of acknowledge that now and seeing, okay, right now I am in the hustle, but like once it begins to slow down, I know that like I need to take that into account. I can't lose that, and being able to stress, like for anybody, like rest is just so important, and it's so important to be able to take care of yourself and then be able to go out and take care of others.
That was
That was
beautiful. I love that. So, where can audiences keep up with you as we're starting to wrap up here? But we will definitely have Haley back for another film. But where can we keep in touch with you?
Yeah, I don't use it as much anymore, but I'm on Instagram. I have it's Haley Klopping, and I am always going to be like on Facebook as well. But also truly, I think I'm gonna be starting up like my YouTube channel again, of being able to create some music and play alongside with some photography. So anyone who's out there, if they want to be updated about that, they can go on there as well with Haley Klopping on the side. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. We'll definitely make sure that everyone subscribes. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this interview with the wonderful, iridescent Haley Klopping. Share the show with a friend who needs a little light or a little encouragement in this season. And tune back in for 2 weeks for our RPG episode. Bye now.
Yay! Yay!